It's the Flow Friday Night Sports Show. Hume Netball, some very tight matches in the A-grade competition on the weekend, which is great to see. Let's bring in Carla Fletcher now, the president of the Hume Netball Association, to talk about it. Carla, how are you?
Good, thanks, Jason. How are you? We had a great weekend on the weekend. It was my first venture out to netball, so it was really interesting. Some great games.
Excellent. Which game did you take in?
I was at the Jinder versus Lockhart game, so that was a very close game. Awesome game, actually. Yeah.
That seems like a good place to start because Jinder and Lockhart, only 4 goals in it at the end, a high-scoring clash. Jinder 54, Lockhart 50, and any time you can put 50 on that Jinder defence, you've got to be pretty happy in defeat, I would have thought.
Oh, yep, the girls were absolutely wrapped considering Lockhart had a few key players out last week. It was a really tightly fought game for the whole 4 quarters. It could have gone either way, but there were some great matchups. Young Ruby Buckler for Lockhart and Sam Creasy at Jinder in the circle. And the big battle, I think, for the game was between Lockhart's Olivia Lang and Shana Holland, a past A-grade best and fairest winner. So that was fantastic watching them. But Jinder got it in the end in the last quarter. Capitalised on a few errors from Lockhart and got across the line with the 4 points.
Indeed, they did. And I tell you what, that was a close one. Only 4 goals in it, but it wasn't the closest result of the weekend, believe it or not. Brockbyrum, they headed to Holbrook, took them on there on their home deck and beat them by 1 solitary goal, 45-44 in a thriller.
Yes, both teams, they tussled really hard in that match and some superb intercepts from Lane Parker from Holbrook, who played wing defence, and also Sophie Parker that kept Holbrook in the game. But it was the 16-year-old Lani Wall from BB Saints who's proving herself in A-grade. She had an outstanding game in goal attack. And the coach for Saints was really pleased with the girls working hard and putting some defensive pressure on Holbrook to win the game by, as you said, 1 point.
Unbelievable game. Well done to the girls there from Brockbyrum. And some other really tight clashes as well. What we pegged as the match of the round, Billabong Crows and Howlong, didn't disappoint at Howlong. It was the Crows in the end who got the job done by just the 7 goals, 47-40, in another tight one.
Yep, Howlong came out really strong in the first quarter, and they had quite a good lead at the end of quarter time with support from Georgina McLeod and Liv Baker. They worked really hard in the mid-court, but I think it was the composure and the accuracy and the settling of the Crows players and some great shooting by Ricky and Beth. Crows managed a 14-goal turnaround to win that match.
Outstanding. Good. Well done to the Crows girls. Yep. Another great game there. 8 goals was the difference between CDHBU and Henty, and probably the most heartwarming result of the weekend. Great to see CDHBU on the winners list, although Henty would probably disagree with that.
Yeah, this was another tight game for the first 3 quarters, and the score remained within a couple of goals for that whole time. And it just came down to the last quarter. CDHBU, Courtney Haig and Maddie Stanton played really strong games in defence and were able to force some turnovers and make crucial intercepts to give CDHBU the points there, while Henty Charlie Klein received the Most Valuable Player award, and Jodie Spencer, who returned this week in the position of goalkeeper, was really solid in defence for Henty.
Excellent. At Osborne, it was the canola farmers who got the job done against the Giants, Rand, Wulbundry, Waller. They ventured out there, and this was a tight one as well, but Osborne ended up running away with it 50-38, so only 12 goals in it, but a good win for Osborne.
Yeah, I think Rand, Wulbundry, Waller had been a little bit rattled in the first quarter. They started really strong, and it was goal for goal towards the end of the first quarter, but Osborne's Rachel Galvin stole the show with heaps of tips and intercepts to keep them in the game and increase their lead. Alyssa Liskey for the Giants had a really strong game in the centre, and Jessica Kotzer, she's also a past best and fairest winner for A-grade for the league, worked hard in defence against Osborne's experienced shooter Karen Hugo. But it was also Lucy Bennett, who also received last week's Rising Star Award, continued her form in the circle. And the 3 O'Connell girls. There's two sisters, Abby and Georgia, and cousin Gabby rotated really well in the mid-court. And they just were all too good for Giants in the end.
The last game of the round to talk about, the Murray Magpies took on Kolkan, and, well, they were way too good in the end. The Murray Magpies 70-19, so that was the only blowout of the weekend, really?
Yeah, it was. Kolkan are really trying to work hard with their young team, getting them together. Obviously they've got a few things to improve on, and I'm sure they will do that. The Magpies were just too strong. Their best on court was Angela Croswell playing a full game at wing defence. So I think they're just too strong for Kolkan. They haven't had one previously.
I think we will. I think the match of the round, though, will be at Oaklands, and that's where we'll start. The Billabong Crows taking on Osborne. This should be a beauty.
Yeah, well, as you said, both teams are undefeated so far. I think they're just going to have to be on top of their game from the first whistle. The key matchups for this game are going to be Osborne's lineup in defence with Sally Hunter, Sarah Schneider and Rachel Galvin, and against, the shooting of Beth and Ricky for the Crows. I think accurate shooting is going to be the key to this game, so whoever can get their goals in and capitalise on any errors will come away with the winner, with the win. But I think Osborne might put too much pressure on the Crows. They're really hungry to get out there and have a win. I think Osborne might come away with the points this week.
All right. Another tough tipping game, this one. Brockbyrum, they will host Randall-Bundry Waller, who have had their foot on the till in the first 2 weeks, haven't been able to crack it for a win. They've had a tough draw, the Giants girls, to start with. But Brockbyrum favourites here just?
Oh, yeah, this is another tight one. I'm actually going for Randall-Bundry. I think they'll be really looking for their first win. And I think it'll come down to how well some of the young players play for both teams and who can convert their goals. And I think it'll be a good battle between Soph Colhagen from the Giants and Rachel Kazitsky in defence for the Saints. But I'm going for Randall-Bundry in a close one.
This game comes at a great time for CDHBU. They're at Careen on their home ground. They take on the Murray Magpies, who are flying early doors. It's the litmus test they need.
I think, as you said, the Magpies have had two great wins so far. But I think CDHBU are going to put some pressure on the Pies, and it'll be, whether the Pies can convert their goals. We'll see the margin there, but I've actually gone with the Magpies this week on that one.
So the young Kolkan girls, they have a tough one against Lockhart. I think Lockhart will probably be too strong there. Yeah,
Lockhart will have their full lineup back this week, and I just think they might be a bit too strong for Kolkan. But Lockhart-Kolkan matches are always tight, always hard fought, so I don't think it will be as easy as what the scores have showed in the past few weeks.
Henty at home to Jinder. Interesting game for the Henty crew. They went down last week. Jinder, of course, conceded a few goals, which is unusual for them, but scored plenty themselves as well. They'll start favourites, Jinder.
Yeah, I think Jinder's just got too much pressure down the court, and the shooting ability of Charla is just amazing. So she'll keep Jinder with winning the 4 points this week.
Heartbreaking loss for Holbrook last week, just the one goal in it. They travel to Howlong to take on the smarting Howlong side, and probably not a good week to get them, I wouldn't have thought.
No, I'm sure Howlong will bounce back this week. They're always quite calm, and they put a lot of pressure on down the court. And I'm sure they'll be looking forward to returning to the winners list after their loss last week to the Crows. And I think they'll be too strong for Holbrook as well. Who are gradually building as a team.
Certainly are. So another fascinating round of matches in Hume Netball this weekend. Heading out to the netball this week, where will you be?
I'll be at Kolkan, so watching Lockhart Kolkan.
Excellent. Well, we'll get a full rundown next week on how it all went. Enjoy Anzac Day. Enjoy the weekend. Have you got anything special planned on the court in terms of marking that Anzac Day weekend?
No, not yet. We haven't really thought about it at the moment. But, look, in the communities, everyone will be joining in the local community Anzac Day march. I'm looking forward to, getting some community Anzac spirit back in town after last year.
Yep, spot on. Well, wishing everyone all the very best in Hume Netball this weekend on the court and off. And Carla, look forward to catching up with you next week.
Thanks, Jason.